Hey everyone, in this video we'll be reviewing the first Regiment Reward Tank ARMT. Before we get started with the review, let me stress that this reward is only available in Regiment store and can only be purchased with Regiment coins or Ready coins. So if you are into those exclusive tanks, this might be one for you as it's not purchasable with gold or silver currently. It might come back to Regiment store again in the future, but it is going to be very exclusive. And you can just earn this tank by playing normally. It's additional reward. However, you have to be in a regiment, which is Clans 2.0. If you're not in a regiment, we have a community clan as well, a community Discord. You can join the clan. If you're in a clan already, you'll be reaping the benefits already if you're playing. Just keep in mind, you get a max of 30 if you're playing by yourself and max of 60 Regi coins per battle if you're playing with your regiment platoon mates. So don't miss out on an opportunity, especially, as I said, if you like exclusive tanks, and if you already play the game semi-regularly, and if you don't get enough points to get the tank, you can still get the camos and emblems, which has different prizes. Do keep in mind the regiment coins are season tied, so after the season, if you haven't used all the regiment coins, they will disappear and refresh with the next season. There won't be any a grace period like we have in contracts that you can spend your coins. It'll be like snowballs, and they'll disappear as soon as the season ends. So make sure first, the step one is be in a regiment, doesn't matter which regiment, and if you're playing with the regiment members, even better. And if you're not in a regiment or in an inactive one, as mentioned, you can join our community regiment _Loki, link in description as well as pinned in comment, so that you can start earning out on these rewards. I don't want you to miss out. At this point, I kind of sounds like those annoying credit card sales where when you go to a superstore. But to be honest, I would hate it for you to miss out on rewards, right? As I said, you don't have to join a community client I created. You can join anyone, right? Just don't miss out. That's my point here. As I would hate for you to buy this tank or reward in the future with your hard-earned currency. So let's get started with the tank. It is a tier 5 premium US medium tank, ARMT. Going over the setup for equipment, I'm using advanced concealment, advanced optics, and an improved ventilation, using 3 large consumables, medkit, repair kit, and rations, and of course camo paint. For my crew skills, I'm using the medium tank crew that I use on my tier 10 mediums, 1 liter rapid loading snapshot, advanced or camouflage expertise, 6 sense, situational awareness, steady aim, silent driving, and a run and gun. Looking at the armor wear, the tank doesn't have any armor. As you can see, 76 mm up front. It is flat, so it will get penned even with the standard shells of tier 5. Do not rely on the armor of this tank. The only armor you have is your hit points. Then 50 mm of upper plate and side hull. Upper plate might give you some bounces, but again, I won't rely on it because you'll be facing tier 6s and 7s, and it's not something that you can rely on. Side armor 38 mm. Going over the module, you have engine in the back, fuel tank on the front, left and right side. Then you have ammo rack on the rear of the turret, those 2 drums. The big ammo rack, it's easier for you to remember as well. If you're fighting one ARMT, just shoot that big round balls and you'll be able to hit them. And then in the center hull as well. 3 crew members, 2 in the turret, and that driver in the hull. So looking at the stats, of course, it's after the crew and equipment I have. Forward 45, reverse 18, power to weight 16.18, hit point 600, hull rotation 40 degrees, concealment still 313 and moving 319, view range 484, turret rotation 43 degrees, and this is the key benefit, or the key statistic of this tank is 15 degree of gun depression and 60 degree of gun elevation. Reload time 11.93. It is a 3-shot autoloader. Rate of fire 10.33, accuracy 0.33, accuracy during movement 3, aim time 1.9, shots per clip 3, 2.5 second of interclip. Decent amount of shells, 105, standard AP, premium APCR, and 30 is HE. Does have terrible DPM of 1222. So comparing it to M4 Sherman, because it's the same gun but it's an autoloader, Sherman has around 1700-1800 base. This one has 1000 base. And of course, Sherman, you can mount the loader. So it does carry the same bad penetration and alpha from the Sherman, which is 128, 10 and 177 premium, and your alpha is 115, but it does have much lower reload or longer reload. Ammo speed of 900, 1800 respectively. So, but because it's an auto loader, right, you can kind of limit your exposure. So instead of shooting every 3 seconds, which a Sherman would, you would shoot 2.5 seconds. So it can still limit the exposure. So Sherman base is like 3.9, right? But I think everything you can get close to 3.2 probably. And this one is 2.5. And Sherman also, or M4, I keep saying Sherman. M4 also has a respectable 12 degrees of gun depression, and so does this. It is slightly more mobile. But to be honest, I think this tank will probably get buffed in the future. The tank is kind of earnable, that's why the stats doesn't look that impressive. But I think it will get buffed in the future because even though it's an autoloader, the reload is just too slow, especially if you compare it with the Sherman. While it keeps the same bad pen and alpha. Silver earn rate of 40%. Premium vehicle earn rate 40%. And no other bonuses. So whether if the tank is balanced or broken, to be honest, I would say it's balanced. If anything, it's a little underpowered. Would like to see some buffs to the tank. And as we have seen already, the pattern that anything that's earnable or as part of Ultimate Season Pass or Season Pass get buffed, because Highlander recently got buffed with this season for the second time since release. So there won't be surprised this tank get buffed as well. I do expect it to, but we just don't know when, because it does feel a little weaker, to be honest. But since a tank, when it's given away, it's better for a tank to be weak rather to be broken. So I like the tank as its contribution to the health of the game, but don't find it too enjoyable to play currently. But yeah, it's unique, so it has that exciting factor. Let's see how this tank actually does in the battlefield. So I'm in Karelia, a solid match. Does have 2 artillery and 2 light tank in the matchmaking, so not the greatest matchmaking, however a decent map though. Going towards the 9-0 line. I don't want to brawl. I want to be in a position where I can snipe and use that gun depression. And the thing about the gun depression is the tank doesn't have the greatest pen, so you can't be like too long range, but you can't be too close either, because then they'll just push you and kill you. It's also a tier 7 matchmaking, which means that I'm the worst tank or worst tier in the game. So trying to play as passive as possible, not rushing into any position. I do see A43 going forward here, so trying to support him. I do have the gun handling and camo perk, so hoping for the best that I can outspot opponents, because not everyone playing low tiers, they have 9 skill crews. So far our team has pushed the AB line, as well as some just holding the middle, and then me and the medium, we're on the JK line. So he didn't spot anyone, felt comfortable, so I'm pushing forward, activated food so I can spot anyone. The tank is low as well. See, I thought this tank would be, or more like it'll have a TD pen, so I can snipe effectively, because it isn't that fast. It doesn't have DPM either, it doesn't have alpha either. So in 5 seconds, I can do what, 445, and then out of the game for another 12. Besides gun depression, the tank doesn't really have anything, and that's the reason I was saying I expect buffs to this tank. Not the greatest concealment either. In fact, it's worse than Sherman M4 and the same view range. So I can't really outspot people if they also have fully stacked crews. The only time I can outspot them is if they are not running the crew or not running the fully 9 perk crew. Interestingly enough, they have tanks sitting in the middle. We're already losing by 2 tanks and 15% HP. They're getting shot. And as you can see, in most of the time, I won't be able to use the gun depression. It's not like I can just sit and farm, right? Some maps might allow it, but again, even if you're spotted, you will get penned in the turret. So that 15 degrees does look good on paper, but you can't really use that 15 degree if you don't have a solid turret to hold or have insane concealment and penetration or alpha, right? So that minimum exposure, because I have to expose myself again and again. We're now losing by 4 tanks and 13% HP. Love that HP bar, by the way. Love that. Absolutely beautiful. So their tank destroyer is at C6 in the middle, and what he's doing is spotting our entire team. Lucky for me, T25/2 gets spotted. A nice clip into him. And one good thing about the autoloader, I mean, there aren't many good things about this autoloader, but it is when I clip someone, and if I get spotted, then I have a cooldown of 10 seconds, and usually I can lose the spot within that time. So if you time it right, you can dump 2 shells or 3, and then while you're reloading, if you're not getting pushed, you'll have enough time where you're unspotted. So it does help getting at least 2 shells, if not 3, most of the time, if you get spotted after the first shell. Because in Sherman you might only be able to get 2, in this tank you'll be able to get 3, and if in Sherman you can only get 1, in this one you can get at least 2, right? With that half a second difference in the reload, or a little bit more than half, that can be helpful. And then when the cooldown is happening, right, you're not continuously peeking. So passively, sometimes when a tank is bad, a tank like Mantico, right, because you have such a long reload, you're not peeking, you lose the spot, and every time you fire, you're not spotted. And that's the thing with this tank. Every time I fire, I've already lost the spot once the reload is done. Did get lucky there, didn't get shot. And I panned their tank in return. 1700 damage so far. The HP is close, but we're losing by 3 tanks. We don't have anyone on the base, so I was thinking maybe we'll get capped out. Should I go back? At the same time, I also wanted to help that heavy tank. I thought we are winning, or we're in a strong position on the 8-9 line since we had a VRE. So I decided to move to the other side, as I didn't want that heavy tank to die. One of their tanks commits suicide. Well, that helps us because we're not the greatest position, so exact same HP remaining. Good thing is I am full health. I'm trying to get render on that heavy tank over there because he's by himself. I don't know who can push him, and that's what I was worried about. The artillery gets spotted. He's pushing our heavy tank, so rushing towards him. At the same time, I am worried that I might get spotted from someone towards their base. And as I was going down, the heavy tank that was holding the front, he dies, and now I'm in like a tough spot. Whether should I go back or should I go forward? And I saw 2 of their tanks are there, and they were in my render, so decided to help this guy, because even if I go back, I don't know if I can help anyone. Finally had a shot on him. The decent penetration. Tank does have good gun handling though, or probably after the crew I have, because it does have a long game time. So managed to take out those 2 tanks, 3v6, and save our heavy tank as well. At this point, maybe I should have gone back, but as I was repositioning, that guy gets spotted. M56, he's rushing our Challenger, who took a shot. He penned Tiger. He should have gone for a M56, I would say, or fought with him instead of running away. Bad play, and maybe if I was there, I would have killed both those tanks, as those are the only tier 7 that are alive. So retreating towards their base, hoping that if they push, I can kill them. And then we have our isolated heavy over on the other side. It's 8% versus 18, 10% deficit. It is possible for me to make a comeback here, but at the same time, I do have this very long reload, no armor, and M56, that TD has a crazy concealment as well. Not to mention that they are top tier. And the good thing is the Tiger was 1 shot, M46 was around 450. And yeah, 2 heavy tank is still alive. I was hoping that he wins that engagement. He seems to have done more damage to the medium. As you can see the difference between the hit points. It went from 8 and 18 to 7 versus 12. So that's also helpful too, especially towards the end game. You can see if your teammate is winning or not. So 2v5, going for a peek here, hoping Tiger is pushing. It wasn't the Tiger though, but VK36, and he's out. And as I finished him, the M56, the tank destroyer, he took out our heavy tank. And if I had just killed that heavy like a minute after, I could have, or had a potential chance for a Colobanos. Nonetheless, 1v4. I was worried whether they will be pushing 0 line, should I go back to A0? But my concern was that tank destroyer is 456, and my clip potential is 445. So I won't be able to clip him. Meanwhile, that artillery looking at our base, he blind fired the bush I destroyed. Glad I moved out. Being cautious, trying to get into a position where I'm safe. Since they weren't pushing 0, I was hoping that they'll push A line. So rotating towards that side. If artillery wasn't there, it might be slightly easier for me, as I know that Tiger doesn't have much HP. I know how much HP 450 or M56 has, and then the last tank is a tier 5. And it's safe to assume after 11% the artillery is full, so even the tier 5 might not have a lot of health remaining. Trying to spot the A line. By the way, do let me know in comments, what do you think about this tank? Are you in the regiment already? Are you planning to join one, or you just don't care and just want to play the minimum amount of games you play? But to be honest, there's no harm in joining a regiment. There's no, community regiments, no requirements. So you should take advantage of that. Nonetheless, M56 peaked. I dumped a clip, got artillery twice, and I am dead. So that's it for this video. Do let me know in comment what you think about this tank, and I'll catch you in the next one. Have a great rest of your day.